Good evening, everybody. I'm Danielle Tucker. I'm a singer. I am a vocal coach. I'm a singer with the Mighty Untouchables band. And I'm also the producer of a new event that's coming up that I want you to save the date for in November. That's November 16th, 17th, and 18th. It's called the Pandemic Proof Singer Summit. It's going to be amazing. Um, we are going to have a lineup of just some of the most incredible industry experts. Just to do a little bit of name dropping, we'll have Dave Stroud, Dorian Hawley will be speaking, Broadway's Natalie Weiss. It's going to be amazing. We're going to be talking about what's the path forward in 2021 for singers. So don't miss that. But without further ado, let me introduce my beautiful guest that I have here with me tonight. This is Yolanda Thomas. Yolanda is a two-time L.A Music Award winning songwriter, singer. She's from Sydney, Australia. And you said you relocated to L.A. in like 2014, right?
2013.
2013. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, she is a performance coach. She's a choreographer. She basically does all the things. She's famous for being very fiery on stage. And I can attest to this. I've performed with Yolanda. It's been a couple of years. We did a show at Viejas called Dream Girls, and she was
Which,
very.
by the way, I was calling Vegas on stage. And hey, Vegas, until I got corrected. VAS.
Oh my God. Well, it's probably okay. I think that Viejas means something like the old women or something. I don't know in Spanish. Anyways, Yolanda, she also has her own band called Yolanda and the Stolen Boys. And they have performed at a lot of legendary venues like the Whisky. And I know that you pointed out that one of your favorite shows that you did was as a support act for Steel Panther, which
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that was a while ago.
freaking love that show. I
Oh,
love it so
yeah.
much. Oh my gosh. So many other things that we have to talk about. So let's just start out. Tell me what you've been doing since quarantine started.
Right. Well, I wanted to start off there. G'day, mate, and freak everyone out.
Yes.
um, yeah, when quarantine hit, I was going to talk about briefly. It was all about keeping your headspace right.
Yeah.
Got like was a challenge, like who's going to cope and who's going to fail. I always thought that of singing competitions. Like you have the Australian Idol, the American Idol, or whatever those competitions.
Yeah.
I was like, they put them under stress, and it's whoever mentally copes the best that is the winner.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went through my ups and downs where I thought I'm ahead of the game, so I'm top of this, and I started doing my hip hop dance tutorials. I'd done them years ago. People have said you should do tutorials online. I'm like, I've done them, but they were not up to standard and not with the logo. And I felt like I've done this before.
Yeah. They weren't fancy enough.
Yeah, like I've already thought of it, but I hadn't really pushed them. And if I had done more of them even at the time, I would have been ahead of the game. It's so, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Right.
And then I did some free classes. So I've been teaching dance classes. So I teach, I specialize in teaching adult absolute beginner hip hop, because I teach grooves. Like I have analyzed it, and there are three main grooves that run through all of hip hop moves. So this is your moves to the dance floor. And if you go to a hip hop class, it's those grooves that they're not going to tell you. This is going to show you the steps. They're not going to show you what groove is, because they don't have time to. But I teach, so people have never done dance class before, an absolute beginner. I'm like one of the maybe only places in Sydney and LA that you could step into at that level and not be traumatized by dance,
Yeah.
and then I teach so there's a level 1 and level 2, and all the other intermediate advanced, someone else can do that, Beyonce's choreographer, whatever, can do that.
Right.
So I guess then a lot of my private clients for that is singers that need to know how to move, musicians, or just people that I'm too scared to even jump into a dance class. So that was my private lessons. And then so I've also got my performance coaching. So I have a separate website for that. I've got my Hollywood performance coach, which is more private lessons, vocals. But I do more so, most of my work comes from people booking me for movement, for basic beginner dance. That I have as a vocal student. One of my vocal students is an amazing rock violinist, Emily. I know her as Emily Violins. I'm actually not sure what her last name, but she's making amazing progress. Anyway, so I was, what was I talking about? My ups and downs with and then I did a free dance class, and that was, that was popular. And as soon as I started charging, the numbers just dropped off.
Yeah.
And and it's that people going, well, you should do online. And I just had a block about it. Like, and then other teachers were sort of, up and doing it. These dance teachers were up and teaching online. And I just felt like, they've got a handle up, they've got a bigger machine behind them. I just couldn't, I didn't want to compete. You do that. And I concentrated on doing my tutorials that I could break down and put them up. And that's my passive income. Like I could be 80 and I'll still look glamorous in those tutorials that I did, back in the day. So yeah, I mean, they're not selling majorly, but anyway, so I noticed there's a bit of a, at one point, but I then did a Tony Robbins course.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. He had a free, it was called the Comeback Challenge. It was on Facebook. It was for 5 days, like clear calendar. So anyone could have jumped on and done it. And I made massive changes.
Really? Okay.
Yes. I've written, look, I've got a checklist here. I quit a toxic job. I started doing my lemon juice and celery juice routine in the mornings. Look, I started doing this. I haven't kept this one up. 100 sit-ups and 20 push-ups per day.
Wow.
That did not continue. Like first was 5 days a week, then it was like 3 days a week. Just to be honest. Some of these are a bit embarrassing because this is like basic adult stuff that I seem to opened a savings account in America.
Oh, okay.
Very nice. And paid my taxes in full.
I'm sure you're not alone on this.
Right. So then I applied for a business license, and after that course, he had UPW, Unleash Your Power Within, and that was basically paid $395, and it was virtual. And a couple of my friends could have joined me in my house, and it's just one price. That was amazing, and I changed some other things. So when I came out of that, was like a 5-day thing, and I'm like in this alternate universe where I'm going to expand, and I have a higher standard of myself than anyone expects of me, and then I walk outside and everyone's got masks on and just looking at each other, or not distrusting, which I think that's unfortunately something that has happened on the street and with changes.
Yeah,
strangers. There's a lot of dirty looks between people. Like it's quite sad. We've become more isolated, and so I felt like I'd just been living in this alternate universe where life was wonderful, and then I came out of it going, oh, but I still thought life was wonderful. So I, strangely enough, have expanded. I've just taken a big risk and jumped on subleasing a dance studio with someone. So a financial, like stepping forward, let's expand the business. So I'll be pushing, the private lessons I can have. I did have a small studio with this friend, but he's got we went for the bigger one downstairs, and now I can hold classes, although classes in LA are not, allowed as yet. I am doing privates in person. but when it opens up, I can hold classes, because I used to hire a studio through, it was a very toxic situation. I think there was mold, you know, the AC wasn't working. It was like just a struggle. And to have your own independence, and that's one thing. So I know I'm raving, but to create your own economy, like to have your own business. You cannot rely on someone else. I've got no gigs because no one's booking me. You have to create your own economy, you know, and you be in charge and have what passive income streams have you got. So I've taken a big step forward, and I made a big change with my living situation, which will be happening in a couple of months, which is going to be very good for my soul. And then I got some letter from Australia with some financial thing. There was some issue, or suddenly all cleared up. That happened last night. So I'm in a good mood.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I'm glad that I'm finding you tonight in good headspace. That's awesome.
Yeah. Not like I wasn't that different, you know, the day before, whatever. I'm not like, but I'm extra like, oh, that's right. I know how to manifest. Why don't I do it all the time?
Right. Yeah. I think that's such a smart statement that you made about having the different streams of income, because I think that's been a big lesson that a lot of us have learned in the midst of this, is that, you know, sometimes you just kind of have one main gig that you have, or, you know, you do one specific thing. And when that's completely cut off, you know, you're left without any other options. And I think that's going to be an important thing for all of us to take forward into the future, is making sure that you've got multiple streams of income going. So, you know, it's smart. Have your gig, have your side gig, have your teaching practice, have, you know, there's so many different things. There's so many different things that you can do. And I think the point that you're making about how you gotta create the path for the money to come, or it's not going to come.
And I think this shutdown time, and a lot of people, it's just educate yourself, and in either a new skill or whatever skill you've got going. I mean, I can't tell you how many hours I spent on, I know you probably have too, equity scheduling.
Yes.
Changed my life.
Isn't it? It is. I couldn't live without it.
Yeah. We both use equity scheduling. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Acuity.
Oh, there you go. That's right.
VHAs, whatever.
Tomato. So that has changed everything, because I actually am running hip hop dance courses in Sydney, Australia. They are allowed dance classes now, a maximum of 20. So I have someone else teaching that, someone I trust. She's been a friend, or she's an ex-student of mine that we became friends, and I trust her completely. She's amazing. And so with running that, it's just easier now. At one point I was giving her a split because having to half manage it. And now I'm like, all you need to do, log in, get the role, and mark off the role. That's all you need to do. You know, if you do extra posts for Instagram, I'll pay you extra for that. But it's a way making it, even though she's amazing at business and a creative, which not everyone has the two. It sounds like you have that because you're organizing some business summit as well as being a vocal coach and a vocal performer. And I said, I want this to be so an idiot can step in and teach, because not all dance teachers are. I'm like, can you mark the role and send it to me? Can you just mark it completely? You know, it was that I was from overseas, and now it's like everything's, you know, I don't have to do it. It's just the ding, ding. If someone else is booked in the course, I don't have to do anything. You know, that automatic response email that they get a reminder text. It's all, there's so much out there. And there's a thing called Zapier where you can set up, there's just so much that can be automated. And then, I was researching about ClickFunnels and, you know, all of that, the add-on at the point of sale. And it's just, I think, look, I haven't been singing a lot, even like at home, or I'm like, at first I was like, I'm going to do all this songwriting because I'm a songwriter.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? You better find some money, bitch. You better, you don't have time to, you aren't going to be able to pay any bills.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I totally
So
know.
unfortunately, I went into business. Well, I don't know, fortunately, unfortunately, but I went into business mode
Mm-hmm.
through this pandemic of how can I create my own economy, and yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And it's, I think a lot of, a lot of singers are, investing their time in that right now too. It is a great time for songwriting. It's a great time for creating, but um, your points about systematizing your business, I think so
yeah,
many um, musicians and singers, they don't often treat this like a business as much,
yes,
and they don't realize how much more efficient and how much more professional you can conduct yourself and bring business in just with simple systems, especially if you have a teaching or coaching practice.
right,
You've got to have those ducks in a row for sure.
right.
Yeah.
Do you,
So,
I was going to ask you a question with your vocal coaching. Do you get people random searching online, or do you your word of mouth, your students, or through school? Or
well, let's see. I would say most of them are referrals.
yeah,
And then I advertise with all the social media platforms. And then there's a couple of good platforms like Thumbtack.
yes, I used to do that. Yep.
Yeah, so I've got a profile on there, lessons.com, and I get a lot of inquiries through that, and some of those have, panned out pretty well, but it seems to mostly be referral system. And I think the important thing with that is, when you've got a teaching practice, is really connecting with people that have the potential to refer people to you. Like I have um, a relationship with a music store owner up here, and he's referred a lot of awesome clients to me, and just letting the people in your inner circle know that, I'm doing this. I have openings available. Send
Mm.
your people my way.
Yeah, letting
Yeah,
people know what you do,
you've got to do that.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
I just had lunch with a friend of mine today, and he randomly bumped into another person he knows, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't know you were in LA." Because yeah, I'm currently here. I'm looking for a job and looking for an apartment. She's like, "Okay, good to know." And I said, "I'm so proud of you. Like that is good. Like now you're top of mind
Yeah.
with her. You know,
Yep.
it's just letting people,
Yeah. You've got to
yeah,
put yourself out there on the radar.
yeah,
Yeah. Hiding it's not going to help you at all. But
yeah, of being humble."
yeah. So I'm curious to know more about your performance coaching. You said that you get a lot of singers, a lot of musicians that come in. Who do you see, like, who's coming through your door? What kind of an act does someone have that wants to come in? Are they people that just like have zero movement skill, or what are you seeing come through the door?
Well, so recently, oh no, not that recently, it was a while ago. I had a 15-year-old girl. The dad contacted me and he said she has, this is before shutdown actually, she has a competition coming up,
Okay.
and she was an amazing singer. This is 15-year-old girl, amazing singer. She knew how to connect, but she just wanted the edge over the other performers. And it's just that thing of working through someone. It's just like, you sing it through. If you did it yourself, I mean, she was still going to be great and then perform, but just spending the money and being in front of someone and someone going, "Oh, I love that. Oh my God, that was amazing. Oh my God, you just got me chills." Even the good stuff,
Hmm.
to go, "Oh, okay, now she goes into the competition with a little bit more confidence."
Yeah.
But it was basic stuff like, what if okay, I'm gonna be the person that introduces you, and I'm 6'10". Here's the
Hmm.
microphone, and here we go, and here's Chloe, and they walk away, and you're like, "Oh, you better know how to. Okay, let's get the microphone down to you better know how to adjust the mic. Right, let's do it
Hmm.
again. It just dropped on the floor. Let's do it again. Stuff like that. Just about being in control of the stage. I analyze everything in dance and in performance. I was obsessed with that movie, The Idol Maker,
Hmm.
where he made this guy, like the girls all scream after him. And I was like, I just was obsessed by it. There's all just little things of, sometimes singers the mic stands here and then they like walk around it, and I'll pick it up and I'm in control of the stage. Mike stand,
Right, right.
little things
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
Scream, I'm in control of the stage. It's like, oh, she's, she's experienced, like for
Mm-hmm.
someone that's starting, it's all the little things. What happens beforehand? You're in a competition, you're in a holding room with 5 other people with the nerves and the energy scattered as anything. How do you, like I tell them no last minute rehearsals in the last 2 hours when you don't go over anything because it'll unravel. What do you say to yourself? Where's your mental state? Where's your energy? A little tree roots through your feet into the ground. I do push-ups. I get into my body. So people are in their head, when they get nervous. And I would do push-ups just to, they used to hate me. We used to do the Lucky Strike, the jam nights at Lucky Strike, and with through Ultimate Jam and Soundcheck Live. And I used to do my push-ups, and the guy that was organizing it, he taped off a little area just for Yolanda to do her push-ups, like, so I'd stay out of the way because I think I was annoying him, doing them right backstage, like, that's your area over there, but it gets me into my body and grounded, so I'm not scattered, and I need all the help I can get to remember lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was someone like that. I'm really good with, hey, I've got an audition coming up. Hey, I've got a showcase. You need to get me ready in 1 lesson. I can give you so much information, turn around in 1 or 2 lessons. I'm not really that, I'm more excited about that than, okay, come and see me in it for a year every week. It's like, don't waste your money. I'll give it to you all in 1 or 2, 4. I usually do a 4-pack. Here's a 4-pack. And you should be good to go now. Unless it's vocal lessons, it's different because you're building a skill, but I believe a lot of that is building, giving the credit to them, building their confidence. And then once they have the confidence, then they can soar. And that's why it jumps very quickly. The level jumps up. Maybe you don't have to be doing 6 months. If it's not how building the vocal muscle, it's here and here. And once that something twists there, like, get over yourself. It's not about you, it's about the audience. They just paid $50 to see you or $500 to see you. Like, get over yourself of like, oh, you didn't get the note and you're gonna like I was having an emotion while you were doing that, and you just ruined the emotion for me, the audience member,
Right.
But pushing the, just the telling, keeping in the story, which is hard to do. Every time you see a singer fiddle, it's like you're looking at yourself from the outside in. Every time they do this, And sometimes, and now I'm working, who I'm doing the split the studio with. He is more the owner than me, but he is purely working with kids. I like to, with singing, it's different, but with classes, I don't do dance kids classes anymore. I don't want to discipline. I just want people to take the information in. I don't waste time. It's just exhausting, the discipline. I love teaching adults where they're just listening and respecting and taking it in and getting the life lessons. I feel like, look, what I'm really selling is building your potential and self-confidence through dance and singing.
I can totally relate to that with working with adults too. And I think there's this certain really like gratification that you get out of adult, because by the time we're adults, we've put on this kind of protective layer. Even if we are good performers and everything, we're buried under a lot of, ideas about ourselves, insecurities and all those things. And when you can make those quick breakthroughs with someone that help them to understand, it's generally things that they already know in their mind, but having it pointed out and just getting that, affirmation, the reinforcement from somebody else. It's such a beautiful thing when that happens with an adult. It's more of a, an emotional response for me, at least. I mean, I love that.
And it makes us feel good, right?
It does.
And I learned the hard way from when I did full-time performing arts. It was my friend, myself, and actually a friend of mine who lives in LA now. This is, I mean, it's back in Sydney, and separately the head principal of the performing arts school called us into the office, and she's like, Yolanda, if you don't drop your attitude, you are out. And I had no idea what she was talking about. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm loving being here. I'm in the fame school, you know. And but I realized that my face, I was one of the worst dancers in the whole term. So I struggled every class, you know. They laughed at me in ballet. I mean, one time I walked in, the teacher's like, oh my God, what are you wearing? I cannot teach the class. I will lose it. You need to change. That is the most ridiculous outfit. I was like trying to dance, look like a ballerina, but I didn't quite get it right. Something, I don't know. It just was wrong, right? And I was struggling. So I think it's that I understand what it's like to be the worst in the class. It makes me good at teaching it, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I realized the reason why she thought I had an attitude, because she'd show a new step and I've just like done the dance. I thought, fuck, you know, got through that okay. And she goes, okay, let's run it again from the top, which means it's stressful for me. Like, oh, I've got to go focus again. And so I'd be like with this face, like, and just scrunching my face up. And when I'd focus, I'd be like with this face. And she thought she's only human with her own insecurities. She's thinking, oh, this bitch hates my choreography, you know, because I was already dancing professionally as a hip hop dancer in Roundaway Girls in the clubs, you know, and doing singing gigs, but I had no technique. Yeah. But my face was just like, and so I teach that to kids as, look, I know you're, you know, you don't mean it, but you look like you got an attitude, you know. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. Luckily, I know you and that you're a lovely person, but anyone else that doesn't know is going to think you're, you know, you're a bit rude. Right. You know, which they were probably being rude, but just give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. There's so many of those things that, you know, you don't know as a performer, that you don't know them. I've always found, I love talking about movement on stage, because it's definitely something that I could grow in for sure.
Right. Yeah.
I've always found it so funny that you step onto stage, and of course, a lot of people don't realize facial expression, how dull it can be, or how misinterpreted it can be sometimes. But it's also the power and the energy of your movement on stage, where inside you think you're having this like epic performance, that you're killing it, that your energy is like off the charts, and that you're being bigger than life. And then you watch it back on video and it looks like you were on a sedative all night or something like that. And those are the things that going to a performance coach can really help you understand. Like you said, getting in your body and knowing what big really is on stage.
Right, yes. Although I do think that's a bit of an illusion. I think, because I've noticed that with me. I was like, oh, I was killing it at their gig, and you go, oh, it's not as big as I thought. I do think it's either we expect something to be bigger on the screen, or it just doesn't read as much in a live setting, doesn't read as much with the video.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say, if you watch yourself like that, I would give a little bit of a break to yourself. That I think that I've noticed that with myself even, you know, that it's always, and watching myself back, it's always the talking between. I'm like, oh, shut up. Just can't. But you got to trust that in the moment, that was the right thing to say, and that was okay.
Sure.
And it didn't feel like that long, you know. Yeah.
Well, watching, I mean, your performance, knowing what your performance is like, you definitely have that on stage. You have got that, just step on stage, own it, work it. And it's so, it looks so just natural and just energized. And I've always felt like your one job as a performer going on stage is to bring your audience in as part of the experience. And like you said, making it about them, making them comfortable. The last thing you want to do as a performer is to make your audience uncomfortable, you know? And so you've got to really, that's your job when you get up there. Step into an alter ego, step into whatever you've got to do. But I definitely, I see that fire in you, you know, when you perform, and it's really amazing. And
I just use what's in my arsenal, you know. There's always better singers and people who remember lyrics better than me. And my thing is that it's my presence on stage that I pride myself on. And when I see other singers, if I see someone that's like, oh, and they're amazing with the vocals, I'm like, yeah, if they don't move me, I get very bored.
Yeah.
And I look for, when I've seen those singers that are like, oh, it's that, for me, it's like, especially maybe male performers, say a male rock performer, I don't know what they're going to do next. Oh my God, it's borderline dangerous.
Yeah.
And you can't take your eyes off them. I'll always notice that. I was like, oh, this is a good performer. But I did notice I just had a conversation with my friend. And if they were a great performer, I'm like this.
Yeah.
Like someone like, Michael Starr or he's one of the best performers in LA or what that I've seen. Eric Dover.
Okay.
Amazing. Like he's just, when he doesn't have the guitar, it's more my favorite because he goes mental. Alex Kane, he's a guitarist. He was actually in the Stolen Boys. I've been doing the Stolen Boys stuff much, but he was in the Stolen Boys. I poached him for that. Just like, you never know what he's going to do. And so I go up to him on stage and it's like, and I'm pulling up my skirt, flashing my undies at him, and he's like doing something and he's already in a skirt because I said, oh, why don't you boys wear a skirt? And they dared me and they wore skirts and pigtails, It's in Australia, it's Steve Balby, because he was a drug addict and so he nearly died so many times. And so before every performance, he's like, it's good to be alive. Because he's like, and I'd watch him and also studying. It's like, they're so in the moment. And that's what I struggle. That's what I aim to do. Stay in the moment and then look for the opportunities of what's happening. What's the guitar, or the guitarist is something, I just interact with them, but it's that staying in the moment. And you can see like Steve Balby, he's in it and he's looking for trouble. Right. I reckon if I take a big leap, I could jump on that table. And he jumps on it. And then he's there and he's like looking for something,
Yeah.
But I always look of like, right, I can climb that. Or just,
Yeah.
But one thing I'll always walk on the stage beforehand in whatever shoes that I have. I think that's an important thing. Like I had one girl, it was her first, she was gorgeous, right? She's okay, talented, gorgeous. And we went to sound check and I had to tell her how to behave at sound check. She was wearing, this top and I go, okay, for sound check, we'll put a jacket on. Here, borrow my jacket. You don't need to have them all out for sound check. Let's save that for the gig. And just so you can have the male musicians focus for your rehearsal. And I said, first thing, we need to know the sound guy's name and you will call him by name, and you need to go up and individually introduce yourself to all the musicians, because if you don't, not only you're a female singer, but you're gorgeous. They are going to assume you're a bitch.
Yeah.
Unless you let them get to know you and I said, and walk up on that stage, do that step from there to there. Are you going to fall? Is it too dangerous? Is it wobbly? Do we cut that out? Or, just even the basic stuff, that experience.
Yeah.
Like
it's creating that experience.
Not even touching your vocals. Your vocals are fine. Let's work on everything else.
You
walk across the stage. If that ain't looking cool, that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're right. It's that experience. It's the staying in the moment and establishing the chemistry with the band and the audience. I mean, they've all got to work together. It's all got to be, one room full of people that are experiencing the same thing.
Yeah.
Going back to Steel Panther, I love those guys so much. That is a band that takes a packed room full of people and just brings you into the whole storyline with them. And it's amazing. And Ralph, the lead singer, he's the type of performer who makes you feel seen. Like you feel like he saw you in the room and you think for the rest of the night, he's singing to me. He looked at me.
Yeah. You know who I have used that exact example? Robbie Williams. I went to his concert and I was with my friend and she was up the front and she's waving around a CD, the CDs and waving the whole concert. She's waving like, here's my CD. And he just, the way he looked in the audience, I was like, oh my God, he's looking at me. He's looking at me, you know, and then we were sort of near the front, but it also, you could tell that everyone, and then he grabbed someone's phone and had, you know, a conversation like with the friend, like, hi, it's Robbie Williams here. And by the way, at the end of that story, his musical director did take my friend's CD and she got flown to London to audition for a band. Like that shit happened.
Amazing. She was
so
seen for
focused.
sure.
Um,
That's great.
and you know who else is good at that? John Corbett. You know John Corbett, the actor, Aidan from Sex and the City.
Okay. Yeah.
I walked into I walked into a gig and he's on stage, and as I walked in, he looked and he just looked at me and looked at me as I walked in. I'm like, oh my God, he's looking at me like he's totally like, you know, must be attracted to me and he's looking at me. And then we're standing there, and then all these girls are at the front, like just mesmerized by him. Because you know what? He'd done that to every single one of them when they walked in, because then another girl walked in and he clocked her and he kept his eye on it and made sure and looked until she looked at him, until she was like, oh my God, he's looking at me. Oh, let's go down the front. And he did that to every woman in the room. He was a master.
Yeah.
You know, and I was, this is what I was saying, watching that gig. I was like, okay, Yolanda, stop looking. You're looking at him too long. You're looking at him too long. Okay, look at the guitarist. Look at the guitarist. 5, 4, 3. Okay, now you can look back. Okay, now look. I was so paranoid because he was watching me. I felt like he was watching me, looking at him, but it worked.
Yeah, it does. It does. When you can create that that reaction in the people, it's a slight discomfort on their part, because you know it makes them feel something. It gives them like that, you know, reaction physically, and when you can create that, it's a beautiful thing. I think it endears the audience to you, you know, so much more when they think that they're in on it.
Yeah, and the way you said it, an audience wants to be seen. That you articulated that very well. That's yeah.
How do you make that breakthrough with the clients that come in to see you? Somebody who just, you can see it plain as day in some singers who just you know, they can be great singers, but it's like we're not seeing any connection happening, you know, and you can see the reluctance. I call it a reluctance performance, you know, or reluctant performance. How do you feel? You know, how do you make that breakthrough with
Well, I
singers
was
who
just
struggle with
thinking,
that?
then I was working with an amazing guitarist, an amazing person, Johnny Gomez. I worked with him maybe a year ago. So he's a great guitarist, and he wanted to branch out more as a solo artist, as a singer. And he said, and like most musicians, I feel naked without the guitar, without my instruments. They feel it's completely different, and you can tell they feel naked. It's too much in your head and the self-awareness. And it's a little bit of like, get over yourself. And by the end of the lesson, I was like, it looks like you care too much of what me, the audience, like thinks of you. And by the end, I was like, you need to look like you don't give a fuck. You know, and by the end he was like that. He goes, by that point I didn't. I went, well, that looked cool. We had a laugh about that. But yeah, it's very much getting out of your head. It's not about you, it's about the audience. Stay in the story. Once you have an experience, the audience will have an experience. And a lot of it is saying, yes, that worked, whatever that was. And they're like, oh, really? Like, yeah. What were you thinking then? Oh, I wasn't thinking. Well, there you go. You know?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of creating that vision of yourself as a performer, which we all see in our head, and like actually allowing it to happen on stage. Because for me personally, I'm a very introverted person. And I mean, I would consider myself actually a little bit shy around people, you know, especially that I'm just meeting for the first time or don't know. And so, but I don't feel that when I go on stage. When I go on stage, I know what I'm there for. I know in my mind how I picture myself as a performer, and I'm allowing myself to step into that that performance. And so I think a lot of that's at least the gateway for me, is not worrying about, you know, so much what my offstage persona is like, but really, you know, letting that inner, you know, I don't know if you call it alter ego, or just letting that inner person emerge and letting it happen.
Right. But you're also confident in your ability.
Yeah.
So you've got that. So it's a little bit of like, oh, here we go. Like, I want to say like it is a bit in all of us, like a little bit showing off. I know I'm good at that. You might have other things that you want to work on in the performance, like maybe as soon as you think, oh no, here comes the dance number, I've got to move a bit more, maybe we get insecure there. You still have that confidence in your ability.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it doesn't surprise me that you are shy off stage and on stage. You're like, oh, I'm not like a different person and confident.
Yeah.
But I guess it's the struggle of the people that are not confident.
Yeah.
With but there's terrible singers that can make you cry because they're just in the moment.
Yeah.
And telling the story. Yeah.
I think sometimes if we're tame or we're a little more low key off stage, sometimes it's hard for us to allow ourselves to be more extroverted when we go on stage, because I don't know, there's that just insecurity for being seen. That's the introvert.
Well, I had some with a gig recently, some insecurities. I was standing next to, like, I know, Roberta Freeman. God, oh my God, I just blank sometimes. You just interviewed her. Not Alice, not, oh my God. She's oh my God, she's going to watch this and kill me. She's Harlette.
Oh, yes, Carol Hatchett.
Carol. Well, I was kept thinking, yeah, of course, Carol. Like Carol and and Melanie Taylor and Kitten Curie. I know how to pronounce it, Curie. So these girls are also amazing. Not only amazing vocalists with amazing ears, but amazing freestyle vocal, with their licks and their runs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm consider myself more of a rock singer. Mm-hmm. And there was, bless Roberta, she was like, we want the backing, but we were backing vocals. We want, she was lead as well. We want them to be featured. So it's like, right, okay. And then I'll go into a freestyle, and then Melanie will, and then Carol. We weren't always all on the same night. And then Yolanda, so it's like, oh God, not only am I last, got to top, like, sing with these bitches. Like, they're amazing. And so it was very hard for me to stay out of my head. If I had been in my head, I would have been gone. Yeah. So they're going, better than that, of course. And I have to stay in it and not have this voice that's going, oh, fuck, I'm next, to go, that's amazing. Oh, look what she did there. Oh, that was amazing. And to me, to almost to follow along of what would sound good after that. So I can't allow any of this head business to go on. And then to go, and open my mouth, no idea what's going to come out, but absolutely commit to what was going to come out, and just go for it and sing with heart. And then my friend was watching once. She goes, don't try and compete with them, Yolanda. Don't try and do what they do. Stay in your lane. You do you. And that was really good advice. And my thing is, I can put the emotion in the voice. So when whatever I did, I mean, they can as well, but that was something that I knew I was strong at. So I focused on and just have an emotion and let loose. And then would, like, people come up and say, oh my God, you were like a tiger just being let out of a cage, and not being afraid to look ugly. Yeah. So I was like, Joe Cocker ugly. Like, it's coming out, and I have no idea what my face is doing. And I don't care, because if I have that moment of being in my head, I'm gone. Yeah. I will hit an off note. I cannot double check myself at all, or I am a goner. That was a big, big lesson. Mm-hmm. And I always want the audience. It's about the audience must have a reaction. And I got to be honest, like, if I do a performance and people don't come, I don't know, I'm going to say this is not ego, but if people don't come up to me afterwards and say, wow, thank you, I feel like I haven't done my job because
Mm-hmm.
I want to move people so much that they should want to come up and go, oh my God, what did you do there? I just want to do push-ups or something, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't get something, I would sort of judge my performances by I didn't think I connected with the audience.
Yeah.
Not whether I sang good, but I don't know if I did my job of connecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's what
hear
I
that.
would aim for.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't want to just sing the notes, you know?
Yeah. It is so much about just getting over yourself and
Yeah.
just letting that happen. In the Mighty Untouchables, it's me and my two co-singers, Donovan and Darrell, and we're not trained dancers at all, you
Right.
know. So I mean, that is definitely an area that we could improve on, but I believe it's the chemistry that we have all established that is just that's kind of what makes the magic on stage for us, and it's very, it's very high energy for us. So I think that that's the thing that we've been able to connect, to our audience with, is just kind of bringing them into that space. But one thing we all agree on, and I'd love to hear your advice on this, is in movement. We've tried choreography, it's never been great for us, but with a band or even just a front line, creating those impact moments, the
Yeah.
smaller, subtle things that make such a big difference, just like in every once in a while
Yeah.
step or movement in the same direction
Yeah.
as, what do you think about that?
Yes, I agree. And even sometimes stillness. Da 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 and free.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, da da da. Everyone was just like, what? When there's movement. Actually, you know who pointed that to me? One of he dances for Britney Spears and everyone, and he said in an audition, um, and they're like, and now last 8 counts, go for it. And he goes, I would do a slow walk.
Yeah.
And everyone else is flipping, which I have done that in auditions as well, but only because I couldn't do anything else. But to have stillness,
Yeah.
while there's lots of busyness, I agree. And if you are doing choreography and you look awkward with it, it's
Yeah.
the worst.
Mm.
Better not to do it. And sometimes it's like, okay, like, one of the guys, like, you do a groove there and we'll just watch and we'll just copy you because it'll be organic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually maybe, if there's 3 people, choose the least dancer person, you take the lead, you do the moves, and we'll copy you because the other people can copy better.
Yeah.
And that means the person that's a non-dancer is just going to do moves. They'll have their move that is their favorite, as long as it keeps changing when the music tells it to change, say from the verse to the chorus. If you're just doing a step touch, at least do 2 to the side, to break it up. But that's something that for the non-dancer to take the lead, like I'm just going to be doing this because they don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, you're doing a hip thing there. Oh, am I? Yeah, don't worry, we'll follow you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great advice. So obviously right now we're on a bit of a hiatus from performing, and who knows, when all those, when venues are going to open it up again and we're going to be able to do shows like that. So everyone's jumping on the live streaming bandwagon or self-taping, doing videos at home. What do you think are some key things to keep in mind to let energy and movement translate in video? It's a totally different animal because you don't have an audience to feed off
Yeah.
of.
For me, that doesn't interest me much because I'm like, who's going to log into my live feed? Or there's lots of great singers out there, and I think that would maybe someone who's, I don't know, I'm thinking of video. The more amazing singer you are, the more that would translate. Whereas I'm a bit more rely on connecting to the audience.
Yeah.
But when I did a little acoustic session, I picked, the guitarist I use, Swede. He's Swedish. He's called, can I swear on this? I have a few times anyway, but
yeah.
He's called fucking Swede, hashtag fucking Swede is his little hashtag, which is genius. And we have a good banter.
Yeah.
So it was pretty funny. you know, like he's like, I haven't had this much fun since I was 11, you know, living with my parents in Sweden. And there was just this, you know, this banter between us that he's hilarious.
Yeah.
So if someone's going to tune in, they're going to, what's different? Like I've heard that song done as a cover before, doing that. What's different about it? I guess like, you know, the banter could be funny. And also if it was live, I guess who's watching, talking. And I know, you know, saying people's name, like you said, the audience wants to be seen.
Yeah.
You know? But movement wise, I guess it's interesting because you probably can see yourself, can't you? Which you normally wouldn't see yourself on stage. Isn't the
Yeah, I guess you
like a
can.
mirror?
Yeah.
Yeah. But for what I teach is body awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll do a little exercise where you go off center to, you know, 8 times to the right, 8 times to the left, forward and back to center, forward, always using opposite arm to leg. Dancer world. I did a show once where it was a I'm going to get up now, a Dusty Springfield show, and all the white backing singers, and it's like little by little by, and I'm doing, you can't see, but I'm doing same arm and leg. My dancer friends in the audience thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen because you do not do same arm and leg. You know? But of course, as soon as you think about it too much, beginners will do something weird like same arm and leg. Yeah, and it's just a body awareness thing and backwards and now we're going to do the same exercise, keep your weight on center and foot out to the side. And it's just that. So when you're on stage and doing something, it's like we're doing, okay, we're putting our weight on it. Yep. Or we're staying on center. Whereas if a beginner, you're like, what? And have no awareness of that. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question of, you know, live streaming, how would that be different? I would say just interacting with the crowd and have someone else with you that's a funny banter.
Yeah, something to play off of. That's very good advice. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, this has been a great conversation. Where would you like to point everybody to go to check out what you've got going on? Where's the best place for them to find you?
So for the vocal stuff, it's hollywoodperformancecoach.com.
Okay.
And I've got lots of like yeah, I'm name dropping of who I perform with, but you click, this is the thing about, you click on the video and you can watch the video of, you know, yeah, right, bitch, you didn't perform with it. Click on the video, it's my proof. Which another thing, Danielle, like all my websites I do myself. So it's just, you know, so many hours of, you know, just a thing that we were saying about being business minded as well.
Yeah.
And then I can update it whenever I want. You know, I'm in full control of it. And I'm sure people have nicer websites than me, but, you know, and also hiphopcourses.com.
Hiphopcourses.com
is for the dance, but all the private lessons can be booked through either, you know, you click the button through the acuity scheduling to book in. Yeah, and I'm West Hollywood for private lessons. I do I have someone that, you know, like Emily's down at Redondo Beach, but she's like, I prefer to come in for the private lesson to be in the room with you. Sure. You know, the singing, I think it's you can do virtually through Zoom. Dancing is a bit harder for privates, and a class is worse. The delay is just, yeah, you can't be out of time with the music but it's the delay. It's a killer. Yeah, it's hard to get over that technical hitch, and you know, it spoils the run of the class and the vibe.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you have your own studio now. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I will make sure that I link up to all of your places. And you're awesome. It's been so great talking to you. I'd love to talk to you about maybe speaking for the summit. So we'll get to that later. But speaking of the summit, I just want to remind everybody to save the date for November 16th, 17th, 18th for the Pandemic Proof Singer Summit. It's going to be awesome. Maybe you'll see Yolanda speaking.
And by the way, Danielle, because you are interested in this, I know you're San Diego or something, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are in LA, I'll give you a free one-on-one groove movement class.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I just love it when someone's curious about it. I just like, oh, I want to see the results.
That's amazing. That's
Yes,
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Awesome. Well, it's great to see your face again. It's been a
yeah,
while since I've seen you. Glad that I caught you in a good headspace too. I know this has been a super weird time for all of us, but
yeah.
you know what? We're making it happen. There is a path forward, and looks like you're already on your path there.
Yay.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this tonight, and
Thank you.
I hope we'll talk again soon. Thanks for everybody who watched tonight, and hope you got a
Yay.
lot out of it. So we'll
Oh,
say
it's
goodbye for
great.
now.
Thank you. I'm very flattered that you asked me, because seeing all the other girls that were on the list that you, or the videos that you had, like Carol Hatchett.
Yeah.
Carol's gonna like defriend me or something.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really fun.
Awesome.
Thank you. Very worthwhile.
Oh, well, thanks again. Good night, everybody. Good night.